everyone and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to make a colour palette. So I've cleaned my, I got some of these like ceramic plates and like a quiche dish and serving bowls from the charity shop ages ago. And they're really good to use as kind of mixing palettes. So I've cleaned all of those off and I'm going to use them to make a palette. And I'm going to use the Colour Theory stuff that I learned from the Good Ship illustration. I'll pop the link to their free resource of the Colour Theory workshop down in the video description. So today that's what I'm going to be working through, and that's where I got the information from. But it's a good way of making a colour palette out of complementary colours, but you're going to get a whole palette out of those colours, and it's going to give you a whole range of, I'm going to use orange and blue today. Oranges and blues, you're going to get tints, you're going to get shades, you're going to get a load of lovely, yummy, mushroomy greys. And by making a pared down colour palette, you get the benefit of having a bunch of colours that you can use that all sing together and all work together. Now that might not be your thing. You might want to use all of the colours and that might be your style. That's fine, but I'm going to try doing this because last time I did it, I got a really nice colour palette, but I didn't think far enough ahead because I just kept adding to the one blob of paint that I had. It'll make more sense in a minute. I ended up at the end with one blob of colour. The rest of the colours that I got from the Colour Theory workshop, I only had painted on my paper. So today I want to save more usable blobs of paint so I can go back and access them for working up an illustration. It will make more sense. It will make more sense later on. But that's what I'm going to do today. If you're wondering who the heck I am, if you're new, hello, I'm Emma. I'm an illustrator based in Sheffield, and these are my daily-ish vlogs. Yesterday I didn't do a video because I just wanted a day doing nothing, which we all need every now and then. And today I'm just playing around in my big sketchbook again, like I say, trying to get a palette together which I can play around with. Not necessarily a finished colour palette, but just, you know, I'm just trying to work different areas of my illustration knowledge, and I could do with a bit more knowledge about, I could do with a bit more working knowledge of making shades and tints and a palette from complementary colours, because I've only done it a couple of times, and even though I know complementary colours and work with them in my sketchbooks, it's nice to make a whole colour palette out of two colours rather than just choosing an orange and a blue from my pencils and adding a different orange paint and a different blue paint, making a whole range out of just two paints and white. So that's what we're going to do today. Okay, the first thing you need to do is find two colours that are complementary. And your complementary colours are found on opposite sides of the colour wheel. If you don't know what a colour wheel is, don't worry. I'm going to show you right now. Let me find a pen. Okay, so really basically, make a circle, bad circle, split it into 6. And then you're going to put the colours of the rainbow in these sections. So you've got red and green, you've got orange and blue, and you've got yellow and purple. And the good thing about these complementary colours is that there is usually, depending on what colours what type of greens and reds and blues you've chosen, you've usually got a warm tone and a cool tone, which is great when you're trying to make a palette. And when you mix your complementary colours together, you'll get a neutral, so it'll be a grey-black type colour. So red and green added together will make a red-green neutral, orange and blue will make a blue-orange neutral, yellow and purple will make a yellow-purple neutral. And because I want it to be a palette that will be reactivatable when once it's dry, I'm going to use gouache, traditional gouache, not acrylic gouache, because acrylic gouache has got plastic in it and that sets hard, solid like acrylics. So I'm going to be using traditional gouache. So I've got my little tub of gouache here. And I've also got these guys, which my sister gave me a little while ago. I was thinking I could maybe make an orange out of these two colours, because the only orange gouache I've got is this vermilion. It's very dark, but I do like it. But I was hoping to go for something a bit more yellow. I could mix my own maybe, but let's see how we go. So before I get started, I'm gonna mix an orange. I've decided to mix one now rather than use my vermilion, which is a very ready orange. So I've got these two Primacolour gouache poster paints that my sister gave me. Haven't used them since she donated them. So I'm going to use those very quickly in one of these little glass pots that I've got, little glass jam jar things, and mix myself an orange. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill another one of those with white, because that's what we're going to be using to make our tints. But more on that in a second. Okay, so I've mixed an orange. It's a bit lighter than the orange that I had in my tube. It hasn't really mixed very well. You can still see yellow in there. And I've just got a cloth nearby so I can wipe my implements down, and I've got water nearby as well so I can wash them. Between these, I think I'll choose this one. This is a Tharlo Blue from Winsor & Newton. Again, a gouache. And I've chosen that because it looks a bit cooler than the other blue. So I've got a nice warm orange and I've got a nice cool blue. And first things first, we're going to add white to make varying amounts of tints. And this is what I mean before about what I did previously on the colour workshop. I didn't make lots of tints. I made one blob of colour and kept adding white to it and testing it out, kept adding white to it and testing it out. So at the end, I had just one light tint of orange or whatever it was, and I didn't have lots of options. So I'm going to put you overhead and I'll show you what I mean. So the way I was taught it was to get a big blob of white and add varying amounts of colour to it. But what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to add a blob of orange. I'm going to make several blobs of orange actually, and then add increasing blobs of white. Now how am I going to do this? I think I'm going to use these. They're just old PVA glue scrapers. So I'm going to use these to get kind of equal-ish amount of orange. I'm going to do several blobs. 1, 2, I'll do them going clockwise. 3, can do, don't know, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add 1 blob of white to the first one. Two to the second one, maybe just slightly more. and so on until I get super light. So you can see here, I've now got tints of orange. This is the orange I'm using up at the top. So I left one as a pure orange, then I added increasing amounts of white, and it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. And these are the tints of orange. I'm going to do exactly the same for the blue, probably in this palette here. So this is what I've ended up with. You can't really tell the difference in these ones because I've added it with a palette knife, just because I had that palette splurger to hand. But if I did it in thinner strokes with brushes, you'll be able to see that it's getting incrementally lighter. Obviously you can add more or less, however you want it. This palette's not really the best thing because it's I think it's like a dip jar, and all of the colours are kind of, they're like joining together. Ooh. It's fine. It's an incremental change in the original colour, adding white, getting lighter, so it's fine. So hopefully you can start seeing now how just with your two colours from the colour wheel and white, you've got all of these different colours that you can use. And by adding increasing amounts to the same amount of blobbed colour, you now have colours in a palette you can use. When I very first did this, I did one blob and I just kept adding white to that blob. So by the end, I was just left with the lightest blob. But now I'm trying to build up a palette that I can use in the future. And because it's gouache, I'll be able to add water to this and it will always be reactivatable. If you want to do the same, stay away from acrylic and acrylic gouache because they contain plastics, and when they're set, they're set. When they're dry, they're set. You can't reactivate them with water. So gouache is the way forward for this. So next, we're going to make the shades. And the first thing we're going to do is mix equal amounts of the orange and the blue, or whatever colours, whatever complementary colours you've used. And that's going to make your neutral tone. So now you've created a warm neutral colour out of, the light in here is so terrible, so sorry. You've created a neutral colour out of your orange and your blue, or whatever complementary colours you're using. So to make some shades, you now need to make some blobs of your original colour. I'm only going to do a few. And you're going to add your neutral in increasing amounts to your original colours, and then you'll get the shades of your colours. So I don't know if it's because I've mixed my orange out of yellow and red, or if it's because I've used a phthalo blue, that my my neutral has turned green, and all of the shades of my orange has turned green as well, the further down that I go. It should be a bit more neutral than that, but I think it's probably just from the colours that I've used. And I'm still going with the process because the colours that I've used, they have all created all of these colours. So naturally, if I use them all in a palette, they will sing together more than if I just chose, I don't know, a phthalo blue and then mixed it with an ultramarine blue on the same page, then an indigo blue and a whatever. The idea is that you're creating a whole palette of colours that have been made from the same kind of parent colours. So all of these are sibling colours, so they should all get along together. They're my shades. What you do now, you can make nice lighter neutrals by adding white to your neutral colour. Now I've got a feeling with me this is just going to add lighter and lighter shades of green, but the last time I did it, it made lots of nice little mushroomy colours. They went more purple. I don't know, like maybe the phthalo blue wasn't a good choice, but it's been good as it's good as a exercise anyway. And I get to share this with you and make a bit of a mess, which, you know, I like making a mess in my creative work. So let's just go ahead and do that and see what turns out. Those neutral shades have turned out really nice. So by adding white to my neutral colour, I've added all of these and they have turned into a minty kind of green this time. Last time I did it, I think I used this colour, which is my vermilion colour, and one of these blues, so a light blue cyan I think, and I ended up with a more mushroomy brown neutral. But it just goes to show, whatever colours you choose, you can end up with so many colours which are all part of the same family and visually work well together. Your brain associates them as being from the same family. Visually they all work together, and now I've got a whole palette of unexpected greens, oranges, blues, mushroomy neutrals, minty neutrals, and all of the tints in between. So I think it's a really good exercise for you to help understand colour and also to get used to the idea that you don't necessarily need all of these colours, which is a lesson I'm still learning, to make a palette you can do something with. And every day is a school day. So I've now learned that the phthalo blue and the orange that I mixed together, they make more of a green neutral. But that neutral is basically, when I say neutral, I mean that the orange and the blue have cancelled each other out. So that's what that combination does. Next time, if I want to do it, I can add different blues and different oranges and see if that makes a different kind of neutral. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let those dry and I'm going to keep those in a drawer so the dust doesn't get on them. And then I can use those all together in an illustration in the future. I'm all painted out at the moment, so I've got like paint all over everything. So I do need a big clean. I've got water jugs that need cleaning and brushes everywhere that needs cleaning. So I'm not going to do an illustration yet. Also because my double page spread in my messy sketchbook that I was going to use is still wet, so I'm going to let that dry before I do anything else. I'm not going to rush into it. This was a good creative task in itself and I can highly recommend it. Like I say, it gets you it helps you understand colour, because now I understand that it doesn't always create a grey, sometimes it creates a green, and that's fine. They've all been used, they're all part of the same family, so it's the same principle. So it not only helps you understand colour better, it makes you realise that you don't need all of the colours under the sun to make a palette that's usable. You've got your warm tones in the oranges, you've got your cool tones in the blues, and then you can get all of these in between colours, which you can still play around with. So if you wanted to add more orange or more blues to these ones, or these ones, or these ones, you can. Because they're all part of the same family, if you use the same orange and the same blue and add the whites, and you can remix the neutral if you want out of the orange and the blue with different consistencies. Maybe I need to add more orange or more blue to make the neutral slightly less green, but I can play around with that as long as I use the same colours. All of the colours that I make from those initial parent colours are going to sing together and be a family. I'll pop the link in the video description to the original colour workshop from the Good Ship Illustration that I got all of this information from, so if you want to check it out from their point of view, then go and head to that. I love everything that the Good Ship Illustration do anyway, but it's a free resource, so you're not losing anything by going and check it out. I think you need to put your email address in there, but you don't need to accept the newsletters, but they don't really spam you or anything. But yeah, so if you get there and you see that you need to put your email address in, that's normal. You'll instantly have access after you do that, so it's still free, you don't need to pay anything. And yeah, that link will be in my video description. But this is where I'm going to leave this video, because I need to go and wash my hands and all my brushes and stuff. So I'll catch you in the next one. So until then, bye.